No, maybe this is working. I don't know. Let me see. Okay. Am I working or not? Because okay, maybe I'll just have to like send people here. Oh my god, I'm such a mess. Okay, delete. Okay. Okay. Let's see if this is working. Oh, technical difficulties are my life. Okay. I think the echo should be good now. Is there still an echo? Okay, let me see if this is even working on my... Okay. Is it still echoing? Okay, maybe I'll... Mute. Okay. Muted. There should be no echo. Are we good? Okay. Can we see my paper? Can we see me? Can we hear me properly? So what happened was I had chosen the wrong configuration or something for my stream or something, so I wasn't actually hooked up to my new setup. Which is improved. It's okay, you think. Okay, is it not perfect? Because I don't know what I'm doing. We're gonna try, and if people could like keep me updated about what's going on, if this is working or not, that would be terrific. Echo is back. Why? Like, yes, no. Okay, is that better? I'm turning everything on and off, and I'm like hoping that works, because that's typically how I handle technical issues. Okay. All right, I think we're ready to roll. It's funny because I started this like 5 minutes early because I was worried about there being technical difficulties, because that is my life, and lo and behold, there were. So I'm glad we're only 11 minutes behind at this point. So yeah, we're here. Hi, welcome everybody. Doing another stream today, so I'm going to be like drawing some more animals. I think I'm going to be focusing on cats for no particular reason. I just kind of feel like drawing cats, so I didn't want to like overwhelm myself with adding too many features at once, because obviously this was already too much for me. So if you do want to draw along, I'm pretty much just drawing like random pictures from the first page of Google Images cats. So I'm sure you could find it. Eventually, I'll figure out how to kind of attach them at the same time so that you could draw along with me. I said that last week, but I wanted to kind of improve the actual visual setup this week, and that kind of be my priority. So, okay, I am going to begin. Now I'm all frazzled because I was panicking with that, so hopefully this goes well. Okay, so I did choose one picture already, so I'm just going to jump in with that one. So cats are like normally kind of challenging for me to draw. For whatever reason, I'm not really sure. I think maybe the like subtlety in their features or something like that. So I want to get better at them. Which means I need to draw them more. Oh, I hope people are finding this. I gave everybody the other link, and I had to change the links now, so I'm just hoping that doesn't mess me up too bad. But what can you do? We live and we learn. We'll improve upon it next week. Yeah, it is a challenge for sure. It's the whole like technical element of this whole thing is a lot for me. I'm not gonna lie. I really get so frustrated by technology. And I have like kind of a short patience for it, so it's not really a good combination. So I am starting my sketch with colored pencil. Actually, I might just do exclusively colored pencil today, depending on how I'm feeling and if I feel like I need a lot of erasing help. Which could very well be the case. We'll see. Oh yeah, and I wanted to add music too. Next week. Each week we will get a little bit better and a little bit more professional. That's my goal. Oh yeah, we definitely feel a little stiff right now after all that kerfuffle. But that's okay. See, this is why I do like drawing in colored pencil, and sorry that may shake it a little bit, because I do find that they actually erase okay. It doesn't get rid of it completely, but it lightens the lines enough where I can like kind of go in and refine the sketch. So that's enough for me. I think I made those ears far too small. It's kind of cute like that, but it's supposed to be kittens, so his ears are supposed to be like significantly bigger. There we go. Ears are another thing, like of any animal, that I kind of struggle to draw with. Or draw, I mean. For some reason. I think it might be, like for dogs and cats, they have that little ear notch. So I often kind of struggle to place that properly. Which means I need to study more. Cute, okay. Liking the fluffy cheeks. And hopefully that's dark enough. Can you guys see it? Well, let's see. Maybe I should zoom in a little bit more. I'm terrified to zoom in because I don't want to mess anything up. That's fine. Let's see. Yeah, I'm struggling with proportions. I don't know why I started so big. Like, yeah, let's jump into this with a huge drawing right out the bat. Maybe I'll just do the face. See if I can zoom in. I think we're zoomed in. Okay. We're a little closer. So yeah, I like to kind of start with a lighter colored pencil, and then just so I can like go in freely and not worry about making mistakes and like worrying about proportions and stuff like that, so that I can go in with the darker color and like kind of design it a little bit more intentionally without having to consider things like proportion and anatomy and stuff all at the same time. I actually kind of feel like doing a little bit more shading today, which is not something I typically do when I'm drawing. I usually focus more on like the line work and stuff. Just kind of feel like slowing down, I guess, after me nerves are going. Trying to get this thing set up. Okay, that's kind of cute. SV Art says, I find shading coloring a challenge when doing art. Yeah, it's a whole other beast, honestly. That's why I usually like recommend to people who are just starting out to just kind of focus on drawing, because you kind of have to have a good understanding of that fundamental before you kind of throw color and shading into the mix, because it can be a lot to deal with all at once. I like this dark green. Honestly, I find what has helped me too is I don't worry so much about like really subtle shadows. I usually just kind of focus on the cast shadows, so like the deeper ones. And then honestly, you can get away with a lot with just using a couple really dark shadows, especially in like in crevices and things like that where two planes are kind of overlapping. And it does create a pretty convincing 3D effect without having to go in and like shade and make really subtle gradients everywhere. Which I don't really have any of those yet to show you. I don't have any cast shadows here, but I will eventually. Yeah, I'm just going to focus on the head for this one because I think I was making it too big. I can hear, we had like an ice storm last night, so I can hear everybody outside trying to de-ice their cars. Yeah, that's kind of cute. All right, we got to start. Now let's zoom the sucker back out. Let's see what else we can do. Meow. Maybe I'll start with the pink next time. Now, let's see. Maybe I'll do this little sitting one here. I think I'm in frame here. Am I in frame? Yes, I am. Okay. Can you guys see that? Not really. Okay, I'll go back to this one. It's a struggle. Do I draw with the color you guys can see, or do I draw with the one that I want to draw with? So I'll probably like have these kind of overlapping a little bit. Just because I like to do that. It makes me less precious. Okay, this comes down. Maybe I'll try exaggerating this one a little bit, making it a little bit more cartoony. So I'm basically looking for the bigger shapes and then designing it in more of a simplified way. So instead of like focusing on the little lumps and bumps and stuff, I'm kind of just smoothing it out or exaggerating it depending on what I think the form needs at that point. Or like what shapes I think are interesting. So I really like the curve of that back, so I definitely exaggerated that. But I don't like how dark I made it right here. And then the leg kind of sticks it here. And I like how when cats sit, their paws get like really close together. They're so proper. Okay, let's see. I like cats' faces because they have like a really distinct kind of eye mask, which I don't know if you guys would be able to tell with this, but I find I kind of have to rely on that for me to get their proportions and their shapes right in the face. It kind of looks mischievous. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting really quiet. I'm like hyper focusing on this. That's okay. Maybe it'll just be more of like a chill stream. Try not to go in super heavy-handed like I tend to, which I was talking about last stream, where when I'm being filmed or if somebody else is around and like potentially watching me, I tend to get super heavy with the lines. And I can feel myself doing that now. I'm trying to stop it, but that's showbiz, baby. I like his little tummy. Cute. And then let's put the tail. In the ref it's different, but for the page's sake, I'm gonna twirl it around the body. SVR asked, what's your favorite supply to use? My favorite supply, I really like how colored pencil feels. Like, mostly for when I'm like kind of painting, it's really good for detailing, I find, to use colored pencil on top, and it makes it really easy to blend out the different brush strokes that I can't really get easily with acrylic paint. And they are good for drawing too. Like I'm doing here, I do use them for drawing quite frequently, but I mostly do that because I like the color variation, and I find that the sketches don't smudge as easily in the sketchbook. So yeah, I'd probably say colored pencil. I like how detailed you can get with them, like how controlled you are. Otherwise, I really like gouache, and I haven't been using it in a really long time, but I recently did that old sketchbook tour, and here, I'll zoom in on this if I can. And then, oh, can I do this? Can I do this? Yeah. Yeah, so I did that old sketchbook kind of flip through, and I noticed I had a lot of gouache paintings, and I haven't done gouache in so long, so now, after looking at them, I was like, man, I need to do more gouache. So I actually think that's going to be the next thing I tackle again. I find gouache is a little bit more unpredictable than the acrylic that I have kind of gotten the hang of lately. But there's so much more like life and energy in it. I don't know. Sometimes it's good to have a little bit less control and like kind of allow for happy accidents and stuff. It's Mitsus. Do you have any tips for learning different kinds of anatomy? I think I struggled trying to commit to the basics to memory. Yeah, actually. So I struggled with this too when I kind of first started to draw animals, and obviously there's like limitless amount of animals, so it's really overwhelming to try and internalize all of their different anatomy right off the bat. But I found what is helpful is to just simplify the structure in like a head, a torso, and the pelvis. So just think of it as like those three big shapes. And once you can kind of handle drawing those, like if you were to think of them as like a three-dimensional shape, if you get familiar with drawing like the boxes, the rectangles of those shapes, then you can kind of look at different photos of animals and interpret their pose a little bit better and kind of get a better understanding of the anatomy that's underneath, even though their underlying structure or their overlying structure might be a little bit different. Like a pig looks a lot different than a dog, but they're still like a four-legged animal, so you can kind of learn one as you draw another, because there are a lot of areas where the anatomy applies for multiple different types of animals. I think I have like an older video of me kind of talking about this. If you look up my name, so Caitlin Hoyt Etcher, I kind of talk about the basic structures and like how I broke those down a little better. So after this, maybe check that out. That's really the best part about colored pencils. I got tired of my sketches smudging, so I bought some Cool Erase. It's nice to be able to build up vibrant colors. Yeah, I have a couple Cool Erase, but I don't know where they are. Hopefully I still have them, because I really did like the idea of like, a colored pencil that you can actually erase efficiently. These, like I said before, you can erase them, but it always leaves a little bit of a residue, so it's not quite the same as pencil. But I did find that the Cool Erase were never quite as vibrant as the regular colored pencils, so, and it felt a little bit more waxy or something. I don't know if you guys know what I mean, but, and I'm such a big texture person, so if a certain pencil doesn't feel good when it's like gliding across the paper, then I don't like it, and I have a really hard time kind of getting into the flow of things. Bridget Caton, what mediums can you put colored pencil over? You mentioned using them to bring details in after using acrylic. Does it layer? Yeah, actually it does. So you can use it over, I haven't, like I said, I wouldn't know, probably not oil, but I haven't tried. But yeah, I use it over acrylic primarily, but it obviously works really well over like something like gouache or watercolors. All applies. People I don't know how many people use colored pencil over acrylic. I don't see that happening very often. And I think because people maybe assume that the kind of plasticness of the texture wouldn't layer well, but I work really thin when I paint with acrylic paint, so I still have a little bit of texture of the paper underneath. So if you're somebody that paints quite thick and kind of impasto, then it wouldn't work for you that way. But if you're like me and you work pretty thin and like dilute the paint with a lot of water, then you could totally do it too. And it works like way better than I was expecting when I first tried it. I don't know if I've clarified, but this is the Prismacolor Premier 2 that I'm using. I used to use the Prismacolor Scholar, so like their student brand, and I found the ability to layer over acrylic was like way significantly improved when I upgraded to the professional brand. So keep that in mind. But that being said, I still did it way before I had the professional ones, but it was always more kind of annoying because I had to be like really making sure that I used the paint extra thin, because if it had the slightest bit of texture, then the Scholars would not layer at all. But with the Premier, like even if it is a little bit on the thicker side, it will still kind of glide over top and smooth out the imperfections and stuff, so that's why I like it. Hmm. Super happy with this bit. There. Okita says, I already try out how to avoid the pencil smudge while drawing. Yeah, honestly, the pencil smudge really irritates me. And it's good if you want to shade. Like, I can't really smudge. I mean, I guess I can. And I do that while I'm painting too. I can kind of smudge different areas, but it's always more subtle. So if you're somebody that really likes a soft, smooth shading, then maybe colored pencil would be a little bit more tedious for you because it's not quite as easy to smudge. I know a lot of people, when they are using pencil, they like those like smudge sticks, which is like the paper or something like that. I've never actually tried one, but I can imagine those would be really fun because you could get right into the details and stuff. Draw a saber tooth, please. I may. I have drawn a couple saber tooths in my day. But I will do a request stream here eventually. But not today. I just kind of want to allow myself to get into the rhythm a little bit. Get a hang of this whole technical thing. There's a lumpy little fella. He's lumpy. Not crazy about that hind leg, but that's all right. Oh, I didn't give him whiskers. Meow. I often make stupid sound effects when I'm drawing. I'm trying to refrain really bad. I love whiskers because you can really make any kind of line you want and it's still kind of believable. Maybe I went a little bit too crazy on these whiskers, but that's fine. That's fine. And then I want to give him tail. Now I did change up the from the ref a little bit. Like I kind of made it look more like a Maine Coon cat because I think those are really fluffy and fun and interesting. And the actual ref I'm looking at is maybe more of a tabby. How about if you draw next time prehistoric creatures? I actually did get into drawing dinosaurs like a few months ago for the first. I never really drew much for dinosaurs. And anyway, they're super fun. Like, actually, God, that was last year. I haven't done it in a really long time, but they are really fun and definitely would be worth doing a full stream on at some point. Do you have any tips for drawing expressions on cats? I feel like I can only draw them angry or annoyed. Yeah, they're really easy to look like they're peed off. Here, I can show you how I've just kind of figured out how to do it. So I usually just draw like a circle for their heads and then a line through the middle, which, you know, usually people will kind of do that just to center everything and make sure it's a little bit symmetrical. And then I will draw like a triangle and then another circle. And that's kind of where the muzzle sits, right? And then with cats, it's almost like another triangle sits on top. And then their eyes come out. And I don't know if this drawing is going to turn it well, but... So they definitely do have like an angry brow, naturally. But then if you put the eyebrows kind of on top like that, then it kind of softens the expression a little bit. Rather than if you put it right against the eye, then it tends to make it look like their eyebrows are a little bit furrowed. see if I can actually... I'm not looking at a reference for this, so I'm just kind of going off memory, so... And then they have, like, kind of a sharp cheekbone. And then the fur kind of curves around. So yeah, I guess my main tip would be to make sure that their little eyebrows are not pressed super against their eyes. I don't know if this looks good or not, but just I'm like kind of explaining and trying to figure it out at the same time, so don't mind me. Oof. Oof, I made the pupil super big. Let's see. Yeah. So I still like to have a bit of that line come out, but yeah, I find that helps a little bit. If that made sense. Maybe that was an awful explanation. Also, God, it looks so, like, it looks good from where I'm sitting, and then I look in the view camera, and it's so distorted because of the way that my body's positioned from the page. So, kind of the eyebrows, like, curve around. Yeah, I don't know if you heard at the start, but I do kind of struggle with cats, so I'm not the best person to ask. I'm just kind of slowly starting to figure out their anatomy. But it really helps to kind of learn the basic shapes and like the rhythms in the face or whatever. Maybe that's something like that. Something like that. Yeah, I guess that kind of looks like that one, so. And nothing helps you figure out what you don't know, more like trying to draw from memory. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, this is just meant to be a crappy example, but yeah. And then whiskers. Ah. I find what really helped me the most with drawing cats is like really emphasizing this cheekbone. Try to draw a different breed next. Yeah. Actually, I'm just about done this one. Got distracted. And I'll draw maybe more of a short-haired cat. Let's try that. God, this drawing irritates me because it's not symmetrical at all, but it's fine. It's fine. It is what it is. Let's zoom out a little bit here. Boop. Okay. This is very bold of me to think that I can change my setup midstream, but I think we're okay. We're back. Oh, I think I get it. I drew along with you. Okay, good. I know that might have been a little confusing, but hopefully just think of it as like a mask is kind of how I like to simplify the face, really for all animals. Like what I'll do is this kind of shape. So I almost think of it as like Batman, and then the eyes go in here, and then the nose kind of goes along there. You know what I mean? It does change from animal to animal, but for the most part, kind of identifying this mask shape for the eyes and the eyebrows. Eyebrows in quotation marks. Really helpful. And for people too. Okay, let's see. What have we got for short-haired cats? Yeah, let's try this one. I don't know what kind of breed this is, but cat breeds are hard. Like, I find I'm okay with dog breeds, but cats are all over the place. I couldn't tell you the names of the majority of the breeds beyond like a calico. I don't even know, is calico a breed of cat or is that just like the coloration of it? I don't know. Okay, so this cat is standing. So how I'm starting this is just kind of looking at the basic negative space just to get a feel for everything. And then I'll kind of go in and figure out the right placements and stuff like that. Just good to start with something so you have something to work off of. Because if you try to go in perfect with the first sketch, then it's just stiff. It's very stiff. Okay. So he's got this light kind of coming down. And then this one is like this. Whew. We are real rough. That's alright. Oh man. I don't know if I can salvage this one. Honestly, that's a fun thing about doing streams though, fun and like kind of traumatic, is that, you know, not all of my drawings turn out good. In fact, the majority don't turn out good. So drawing in a live setting is always such a gamble because I don't know if this is gonna look like garbage and then completely invalidate me as an artist. But it's fine. I'm humble enough at this point. Some drawings I do are good, some are not so good. And sometimes I can save bad drawings, and sometimes I can't. But we're going to try and save this one. There's still hope for it yet. Oh, that's not right. Another thing that I really struggle with is to actually make the subjects look like they're on the ground. So you will often see like me establish a little bit of a background just so I have a sense of the plane. So this tells me that I need to pull this one down and kind of sit it on the same plane as this back leg here. Cat breeds aren't like dog breeds, and that definitely makes them harder. Cat breeds are based on color patterns, and really any cat can be any breed as long as it fits the standard. Ooh, that sounds confusing. Dog breeds are actually bred into existence and usually for a purpose. Cat breeds are occasionally bred over time, but is usually cosmetic. Okay, that does make more sense, because I do find that dogs are a little bit more predictable as far as like the different features and stuff. I know there's like Oriental short hair, which has really distinct features, but most cats, I don't know, the visual differences are a lot more subtle and just in the color pattern, like you said. It's interesting. Okay. And then I'm gonna scoop this tail up and around. Oh man, bear with me. I feel like I can bring this one out of where it is. I just need more time. Also find with cats, if you think of their ears kind of extending down, yeah, that's one tip I forgot to mention. If you kind of bring the tops of the ears down, extend it to the nose, and then put the eyes kind of on either side of that, totally helps kind of establish that cat-like face. I used to draw a lot of canines when I was younger. I was one of the big, like, wolf drawing people back in the day, in the old DeviantArt days, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. So I always had a really hard time drawing cats and like distinguishing the differences, but now that I've been doing it a little bit more, it's definitely easier to kind of see the differences in the face for sure. Now this one, he's kind of looking off to the side, so I need to take that into consideration. Now, if you can't see what I'm doing right now because it's so messy, neither can I. I'm kind of just feeling out the shapes at this point. There, we got a little bit of a curve. Okay, this one really desperately needs the darker lines, because she is a little lost right now. That's why usually I'll go in with like a lighter color than this. This green is a little bit darker. Like normally I would use something like this Deco Pink because it's really light, so I can get really kind of heavy-handed and messy if I feel that I need to, and then still kind of save it with that darker, the darker color. Okay. Okay, let's... Oh, we're a little rough. That's fine. Actually, I'm going to try to go in with pencil, just to mix it up. I really do love drawing with pencil, like, minus the whole smudging element. It is so satisfying, like that texture. I love the feel of it, especially like dark, bold pencils. Like the 2B, the 4B, even the 6B sometimes I'll go with. Let's see, make sure this is on. Okay, yeah, we're here. Okay, good. Oh man, every time I look at it on the viewfinder, it's like, oh, yeah. we're a little wonky. Honestly, when I find things get really wonky, then I do like to just think about the negative space even more, like kind of go back to that. Because obviously that means that there were some issues with the underlying structure. So right here I notice when I'm looking at the reference, which I don't have on screen unfortunately, but I noticed that this chest was puffing out a little bit more because it was like less of an angle. So kind of adjusting that now. Okay, so that feels a little bit more natural there, but it's this face that I was struggling with. So in the reference, I think the eyes are a little bit further down. So let's try to adjust that a little bit. And then the nose kind of juts out a little bit. And you can't really even see that bottom jaw. But kind of gotta put it in there a little bit. The face is a little bit too narrow on the side, but that's alright. Try not to get too picky on these streams because it's not fun to watch somebody like draw and then erase and then draw and erase and keep like finessing one sketch for the whole hour. So if I don't like something, I'm just trying to move on. I say as I erase and finesse and erase and finesse. Okay, now let's... Okay, let's give him some pupils. Still definitely don't like that muzzle. I think it's because I need to like tilt it a little bit more. It's not like in line with the rest of the face. Last week I drew birds, which is something like I feel a lot more comfortable drawing because I've drawn a lot of them. And cats are definitely less comfortable for me. So I'm not really sure why I wanted to draw those on stream of all things. But I went with it. Actually, it is good because I'll kind of do that because I won't draw them otherwise. But now that you guys are watching and I've said that I'm drawing cats, you guys have to hold me accountable, so. We like to trick ourselves into working hard sometimes. Okay, so I'm really struggling to not give him fluffy fur because I love drawing fluff so much. Some trees, a lizard riding him, and you have your next final piece done. Yeah, no kidding, that's all it takes. Throw a lizard or like a bug in there and we're sold. That's all I need. Bridget says, I'm the opposite. Cats are all I draw and I really struggle with birds. Interesting. It does seem to be one or the other with people. Like, bird people and cat people like don't typically coexist as far as like their drawing preferences, but for whatever reason. I think birds are a little bit trickier because their anatomy is so unique from all the other animals. Like I've said before, getting a good understanding of like how the skull relates to the trunk, relates to the pelvis is a really kind of good foundational tool when drawing animals. And then with birds, they do have all of those skeletal features, of course, but you don't see them because of the feathers. So they're a lot more simplified in a way, but because of that simplification, it's more of like a feeling. It's hard to kind of identify what is going wrong when the drawing looks bad because you can't really determine where everything is placed. It's just like a mound of feathers. So you really kind of have to rely on the feeling a little bit more. And of course, like studying in your own time. Like the underlying structures is good. And feathers and wings are very challenging. So I definitely get that. Okay. Okay, his drawing's kind of coming together. I'm gonna puff out that chest fur a little bit more because I can't resist. I think that creates a really cute shape when it kind of curls up. Okay, and then this. Birds are easy when you don't have to draw them flying. The wings are hard. Yeah, exactly. When they're just perched, they're so simple in like kind of a streamlined shape. So it's a lot easier to kind of guess, even if you don't know what's going on underneath. But the wings are unforgiving. Even me, I've drawn my share of birds in the day. I have to really kind of stop and think about it. So in this pose, that paw isn't quite rested on the ground. It's kind of in motion. Like kind of partly, like just maybe starting to touch the ground. Yeah, I like having the colored pencil as like kind of the undersketch too, just because it is more visually interesting. I don't like that. Just adds a little bit of color to an otherwise kind of dull gray. You can really see that like heavy-handedness I was talking about coming into play. I find cats are even more difficult than dogs because dogs, it's a lot easier to kind of differentiate where the anatomy is. I don't know, because it's a lot more pronounced. Cats are a lot sleeker and their muscles are kind of more hidden. So I guess maybe that's just kind of the way I like to draw a little bit more structurally. So I like having those kind of key points when I'm drawing dogs, and they're just harder to identify in cats. Bridget says, it makes it hard because I'm trying to design a snow leopard with wings, so I've had to go out of my comfort zone and do wing studies. Ooh, that sounds really pretty. Yeah, Pinterest is a huge lifesaver for like breaking down the actual anatomy of the wings. I've started to think of it as just, they are arms, right? They are the extensions of that arm. They just don't happen to use them for standing or anything like that. But they still have like the 5 fingers, which kind of translates to the primary feathers, like both the way that they extend and how they come out of the joints, like the wrist and the elbow joint. So it is helpful to think of it kind of like that. But as for all those like subtle little tiny secondaries and tertiaries and whatever, I can't help you there. Just gonna put this back leg in shadow. Okay. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that foot, but that's fine. It looks like one of those cats that have the really tiny legs. And I can see now that these are not on the same plane, and that does irritate me. Let's fix it while I'm here. Let's get all finicky like I said I would do. So if I want to make this in line, sometimes it is easier to kind of put the paw where you want it to be and then build the leg kind of backwards. So I'm going to pull it up a little bit more. In the reference there are like a lot of really nice stripes that kind of help identify the position a little bit more, but I'm not going to add the stripes. Oh yeah, I hate that paw, but that is what it is. Hind legs are like actually the worst. They're so hard. I love drawing front legs, but the back legs are hard. Okay. That's fine. I'm just gonna like put the perfectionism aside and yeah, I'm gonna call it done. I'm gonna call that one done. Alright, so it's been an hour for me, so I think I'm gonna call it. Um, yeah, I am sorry that I'm so disorganized and like had the initial issue with getting things set up, and I was a little bit late, which I try not to be. I try to be very punctual, so I hate that. But next week is going to be the week that I get my stuff together and everything will run smoothly. I promise. I promise. Yeah, I don't know what time I'll do it next week yet. I'll do it again on the weekend, sometime during the weekend, so either Saturday or Sunday. But I will announce that time probably like early next week. So yeah, so I guess I'll walk through. So I did this guy, and then this little face. And I like how this little guy turned out. I think he turned out really cute. And then our little study. I can't really show it, but there's a crappy little face demonstration in there too somewhere. Okay, so thank you guys for stopping by and asking questions and chatting and stuff. It's really nice. And hopefully I'll see you next week.